Hello students, in this particular video lecture we will be studying about spinal cord. What is spinal cord? We have already understood it's a part of central nervous system which lies within the vertebral canal. When you have studied the skeletal system, we have studied the vertebrae, we have studied the vertebral canal. So this is that part of the central nervous system which lies within this vertebral canal. Now, how is its continuation? Let us see. It begins as continuation of the medulla. Okay, here is the medulla. उसके continuation में ये start होता है and extends from level of the foramen magnum till the lower border of L1 vertebra. So when you compare it to the vertebral alignments also, right from foramen magnum to lower border of L1 vertebra. What is the length? It is 45 centimeter long, and in adults it occupies only upper two-third. Now if you assume this full thing and divide it into three parts, so think only upper two-third of the portion is occupied by the spinal cord. Students, you would be remembering when we had studied the structure of brain, we had first studied the external features of the brain, right? Same way we are going to proceed now to understand the spinal cord structures. First we will understand the external features of the spinal cord. The first thing to understand is the shape of it. Okay, the shape is cylindrical structure, and this is slightly flattened, and anteriorly and posteriorly it is slightly flattened. Flattened क्या है? चपटा है, ठीक है? आगे anteriorly और पीछे posteriorly ये थोड़ा चपटा है. It shows two enlargements in two regions. Let us see the enlargements. One is at the cervical region, it's called the cervical enlargement, and the other one is the lumbar enlargement. Let's understand first the cervical enlargement. This cervical enlargement, this part, the cervical spinal nerves arising from here, they form a plexus. Plexus क्या है? पूरा network जैसा, ठीक है? They form a network or a plexus, and it's also called the brachial plexus. The brachial plexus that is originating from here, students, it innervates the muscles of the upper limb. Okay, it innervates the muscles of the upper limb. Now let us see the lumbar enlargement. When we talk about the lumbosacral enlargement, the lumbar and the sacral plexus, or the network of all that spinal nerves that arise at the lumbar and the sacral region, they innervate the powerful muscles of the lower limb, right? From the location itself you can understand, है ना? ये पूरे हमारे जो हाथों की तरफ जाएगा और ये पैरों की तरफ और लोअर लिम्ब के एरिया की तरफ ये सप्लाई करता है. Lowest part of the spinal cord is conical. So as you see here, the lowest part of it is conical, and it's called the conus medullaris. Okay, this part till here it is called the conus medullaris. Now the conus is continuous below with a thin fibrous cord. Okay, it is continuous below with a thin fibrous cord. और देखो कहाँ तक जा रहा है ये? Phylum terminal. Okay, phylum terminal. So remember these landmarks. Now coverings of the spinal cord. Again related, हमने जब brain पढ़ा था पहले हमने उसके coverings को पढ़ा था. ये coverings को हम क्या कहते हैं? We call them meninges. Okay, the same meninges are continuing here also. The spinal cord is loosely surrounded by three meninges. The outer one is called, see, look at the marking where I am showing. The outermost layer will be called the dura mater. Middle one will be called the arachnoid matter, and the one that is surrounding the spinal cord is called the pia matter. Okay, so ये जो है यहाँ पर आप इसको ये देखो कि below the conus medullaris the pia matter continues as a thin silvery thread like filament called the phylum terminal. So in this picture, again you can see conus medullaris यहाँ पर खत्म हो रहा है और यहाँ पर जो है phylum terminal आप देख पा रहे हो. It is a silvery structure that is seen. Okay. Now let us understand the internal structures of spinal cord. So as we are seeing in this image, when we take a transverse section of the spinal cord, then we can very clearly see that it is composed of gray and white matter. जो यहाँ पर है gray matter, surrounding में जो है white matter. What is gray matter composed of? We will see in detail later on. Just overall to understand, gray matter is composed of nerve cells, neuraglia and blood vessels, whereas white matter is composed of myelinated and non-myelinated nerve fibers. Let's understand further. Here, a quick review of some of the things that we have already seen. The spinal meninges, right? सबसे बाहर ड्यूरा मैटर, arachnoid मैटर, यहाँ आपका पाया मैटर, ये आगे आपका यहाँ पर ट्रांसवर्स सेक्शन आप जो देख रहे हैं, ट्रांसवर्स सेक्शन of the spinal cord. This, what is shaded in dark, is the gray matter, and what is surrounding is the white matter. Okay. Let's understand about gray matter. Okay, when we see this gray matter, what are the important things to know? Each half of the cord, the gray matter is divided or divisible into larger ventral mass. So what you see here is the anterior or ventral gray column. Got it? This is the anterior column, or it's also called the ventral gray column. Here you can see a narrow elongated posterior gray column. It's also called dorsal gray column. Now the gray matter of the right and the left halves, both the sides, as you see the gray matter in your textbook diagrams also you'll be seeing this part is called, the junction is called the gray commissure. Okay, it's called the gray commissure, and you can see right where I have kept the laser point. Now I remove it. You can see there is a central canal. So the gray commissure is traversed by the central canal. आर पार निकल रहा है इसके, है ना, central canal. Now let us understand further the various nerve cells of gray matter of spinal cord. Here also you can see, again for revision, anterior horn, ये आपका dorsal horn, and this is called the lateral horn. Okay, so when we describe the various cells, nerve cells, we talk about them in aspects of anterior horn में क्या है, lateral horn में क्या है, और यहाँ पे जो posterior में क्या है. Okay, accordingly we will be seeing it. Now here, this is seen even in your textbook diagram, students, you can follow. It is given as nerve cells in the spinal cord, right? So first let us see what is there in the anterior part. Anterior or ventral horn includes all your alpha motor neurons. ठीक है, अल्फा मोटर न्यूरॉन्स हैं यहाँ पर, और गामा अल्फा मोटर न्यूरॉन्स हैं. इनका मेन क्या है वर्क? They innervate the fibers of the muscles. Okay, they innervate the fibers of the muscles. Next you see in the posterior में जो एरिया है वहाँ पर आपको posterior और dorsal nerve roots दिखेंगे. They give origin to the ventral spinothalamic tract. Okay, so this part here would be giving origin to the ventrospinal thalamic tracts. Now besides that, there are lateral horn cells. The lateral horn cells are the ones that would be present only in thoracic and upper lumbar segments. Okay, thoracic area and upper lumbar segments. And these lateral horn cells, what are they responsible for? They give origin to the sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers. ठीक है, तो ये आपके यहाँ के जो nerve cells यहाँ हैं. Now here once I had highlighted one thing that is missed out. Here you can see the substantia gelatinosa. What is it? This is a small group of cell which contains gelatinous material right at the apex of dorsal horn. They receive fibers from dorsal nerve root and give origin to the lateral spinothalamic tract. Fine. So now students, I believe you are able to relate it. When we have studied about cerebral cortex, we had studied about the thalamic tracts. Right from spinal region, it is carrying till the thalamus. So spinothalamic tract. Okay, that is why it is being mentioned in this way. So this is the nerve cells of the gray matter of spinal cord. Now let us understand about white matter. This surrounding the gray matter is the white matter. What is it made up of, students? We have already understood. It is made up of myelinated and non-myelinated nerve fibers. Right? Now let us understand the structure of it. When you understand the structure, here is the anterior white funiculus, here is the lateral white funiculus, and here is the posterior white funiculus. Okay, these funiculi are made up of fibers running up and down the cord, right? तो आप इसको ऐसे समझ सकते हैं, मानो एक पूरी पाइप है जिसमें केबल ऊपर की तरफ भी जा रहे हैं, नीचे भी जा रहे हैं, पूरा नेटवर्क जैसा है ना. These constitute the ascending and descending tract association fibers, right? And besides that, commissural fibers. Commissural fibers, what had we understood? What are commissural fibers? Yes, they connect opposite halves of same segment of spinal cord. Okay, opposite halves of same segment of spinal cord. So that are the commissural fibers that are there. Now, besides this, there are certain tracts of spinal cord. Let us see the tracts of the spinal cord. So last slide you have understood about the white matter, and we have understood one thing कि white matter में क्या है? There are fibers that are running up and down the cord, right? These are the ascending and the descending tract association fibers. They connect adjacent segments of spinal cord, right? And besides that, there are commissural fibers. They connect the opposite halves of same segment of spinal cord. What does it mean, students? ये आपका gray matter है, हमें उसकी चिंता नहीं है, अभी हम white matter की बात कर रहे हैं. So there would be fibers giving connection across same halves, opposite halves of same segments, right? So they will be commissural, and the other thing is there are ascending and descending tract association fibers, right? एक एक जो ये आपके segments हैं, adjacent segments हैं, उसको connect करते हैं. Now, if you see, there is a mention of tracts of spinal cord in your textbook, right? Let us discuss that now. The ascending tracts, what do they constitute? ये इनके अंदर group of sensory fibers होते हैं. They are ascending right from the receptors to the central nervous system, right? Now what do they include? They include the dorsal column tracts or dorsal column fibers. Then you have spinothalamic tract, spinocerebellar tracts, spinotectal tracts, and spino-olivary tracts. Okay, so these are the ascending tracts, students. Again, I'll repeat. ये आप देखिए, you should not get lost in this particular diagram. This is a transverse section. ये हम gray matter देख रहे हैं, यहाँ white matter है. We have already understood white matter के यहाँ पर क्या है? यहाँ पर myelinated and non-myelinated fibers are there, right? So what are these? These are ascending and descending tract association fibers and commissural fibers. In that, first we have seen ascending tracts में क्या क्या है? There are dorsal column tracts, then there are spinothalamic tracts, spinocerebral tracts, spinotectal tracts, spino-olivary tracts. Now when we talk about descending tracts are also called efferent tracts. ठीक है? Efferent tracts जो हैं ये क्या करते हैं? They convey efferent impulses from various parts of the brain to the spinal cord and end in the anterior horn cells. Fine? These include, means I'll repeat again, students, please understand कि brain में से जो signals हैं उसको impulses को spinal cord तक पहुंचाना and at the anterior horn cells. Okay, so now when we talk about them, there are cortico-spinal tracts. Here देखो आप यहाँ पे cortico-spinal tracts हैं. Then there are extrapyramidal tracts. Extrapyramidal tracts, in that you have vestibulospinal tract, rubrospinal tract is there. Then you have tectospinal tract. You can see here the tectospinal tract, olivospinal tracts. These all are the tracts that would be there. Don't worry about it. In our future lectures, in our further classes, we will be going into detail about what each of them are doing. Okay, so time being, at least this much you have to understand, that what have we understood in today's class, students? We have understood about the spinal cord, right? Then we have seen the external features, right? The coverings, the meninges we have seen. उसके बाद हम अंदर के internal structures को समझा है. Internal structures में हमने समझा है कि अंदर की तरफ एक grey area है और बाहर की तरफ white area है, white column है, और इन उसके अंदर क्या है, what is there in that, also we have studied in today's class. Thank you.